Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're finally back with a brand new video. That's right, we're back to talk about Rangers thing, and today actually starts the run of the end of season content that we've done here for many years on the channel. And I thought the best place to start is what we're all currently thinking right now as we go in to this transfer window that is ridiculously quiet, by the way, but again, I'll be patient because good things come to those who wait. Hopefully, but as we're all waiting to see who we sign and what this transfer window is going to look like, I thought let's actually go back to last season and review. Let's start where we mean to go on, people, and look at all the transfer business we done last year throughout the two transfer windows and see who flopped and see who was a success. So if you like this type of content, strap yourselves in and let's go and see the business we done last year, because in total we brought in eight. Wow. Let's not even cut that out. I'm sorry, I was going to go with one hand and I realised I've said 8. And then I tried to pull it up. I was going to do it. Let's just leave it, right? 8 people was brought into the football club last season with a total of 16 players leaving throughout the frickin' season. But we'll focus on the ins first then, shall we? And let's start off with the one and only player we brought into the football club paying some money. Now you think to yourself, people, we've just won the league. We've got the Champions League coming. Right, we've went into that season. If there's only one player we've actually went and signed for some moolah, it must have been a big name signing, a big splash out there to improve the squad. But no, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only player we spent through the entire frickin' season some money on was a Polish 20-year-old right back who was to play backup to Tavernier. And underwhelming is definitely going to be the feeling coming from this transfer, but again, he is just a young laddie, and again, he's playing his role what he was brought into the football club to be the backup emergency for Tavernier. We let Patterson go, well, we didn't let, we got 12 million in total, by the way, result for that, but again, that was to come in and sit there and learn for a couple of years and improve as a football player, so he's obviously going to do that. But if you look at actually bringing him in that season, coming in January, he did only play once overall for the football club versus Annan, and a game where he looked decent, but again, he was supposed to look decent given the level of competition, and again, not being disrespectful or anything like that, but we're supposed to say, oh, he looks very good with that game. And again, he never really got another opportunity throughout the rest of the season because of injuries and everything like that. That's why we saw Adam come in at right back. We didn't get to see Mr. Zawuski, as I pronounced him once, and I've never ever lived it doing. But one appearance for Rangers since coming in. Again, if you're looking at a flop or success for 0 to 10, which I hope you get involved with, by the way, if you're watching today's video, just give me a rating, player name, and then the rating from 0 to 10 on what you rate the transfers. That'll be very interesting to see where you sit. For me, again, I'm going to give this one, a 3 or 4 out of 10, because again, it didn't impact our team or anything like that, but there is potential there for this young laddie who is just 20 years old. Learning from the likes of Tavernier, the best right back in the country. He'll grow, he'll naturally get better, and I'm sure, fingers crossed, he'll have an impact in the first team over the next couple seasons. But that's all I can say about the one player we brought in for some money. But moving swiftly on, let's get to the free transfer club then, shall we? Because if there's one thing we love, it is a cheeky wee free transfer. And starting in no particular order, I think I'm going to start with Mr. FS10 Dreams Don't Die himself, Fashion Sakala Jr. I tried to do like a James Bond thing there, and I realised I've just made him look like he's got 2 Sakalas in his name. But moving on swiftly from that, when we signed him, he was a football player I called a shot happy, all go, all of the time, driving forward impact player. And for once, I think I've got it absolutely spot on with a reaction video of a signing, because that is what this laddie is. He is all go, all of the time. You don't know what he's doing. He doesn't know. The opposition doesn't know. It is a mixture of madness. But again, it gives you something. That's been shown throughout the entire frickin' season, as he's played a total of 50 games for Rangers in his debut season, notching in with 12 goals and 7 assists, which is of course 19 goal contributions in 50 games, which again, maybe doesn't jump out at you as, wow, what a very good season for Fashion Sakala. But again, we try and go a wee bit deeper than the surface level clickbait that's out there, so let's look into it, especially when you go in to the league form. Because we know this laddie hasn't started 50 games for Rangers. In fact, he's been primarily a sub player all season long. And if you look at just his league form, he played 26 games in total, notching in 7 goals and 2 assists, which is again not too bad when you consider he has only ever played 39% of the minutes available in Scottish football this season and only been in the starting 11 30% of the year. That's actually a very, very decent turnaround, and actually is a better reflection, because when you think of Sakala, you think of the frustrations, the madness and everything like that, because again, he should score more, he should put the ball in more and everything like that, but he is that player that brings you son. He's a wee bit of raw natural novel when he first came to the football club, again snatching at chances, getting stuck in, and that's what Sakala brings you. But whether you rate him or you dinna, the facts dinna lie that when you put this laddie on the park, he usually has his say. So I think when you take all that into consideration and you look at everything, considering it was a free transfer, I think you've got to look at a fashion Sakala and say, what, a 7.5 out of 10? Will I go 7.5? Aye, why not? Why won't a 7.5 out of 10 in my opinion for Sakala's first season at Rangers. Next up in the old free transfer club, let's move on to almost a forgotten man himself, Mr. Bacuna, who, I'll be honest with you, I was very, very excited about when we brought into the football club, because again, everything that he is, attack-minded, doesn't really come back, doesn't really get stuck in a lot of the times, but again, he's got the flicks, he's got the tricks, and he's got the ability to beat a man and hit a long shot. I was absolutely excited because he was an attacking midfielder that I thought we'd been craving out for a very, very long time, but aye, it just never worked out at all. Now there's rumours and rumblings that Gerrard didn't even want him in the door at the football club and everything like that. It was a signing that was made by someone else. You can look into that and all that if you want and start believing all that stuff, and maybe that makes sense why Bacuna's Rangers career went the way that it actually did. But for me, I don't know, like when I saw this laddie play in a Rangers shirt, there was at least a couple of occasions, every time he went on that park I went, look, there is something there, like the skills, the long runs, and again, if you look at it, he did play 12 games in total for Rangers, but he only played 366 minutes in that time, but still managed to grab a goal and 3 assists during that run. That's 4 goal contributions in just 366 minutes. Again, showing he did have some output, but aye, it just never fit at all, ladies and gentlemen, whether it was behind the scenes or anything like that. It just wasn't what we wanted in our football team, and again, we ended up moving him on in January after Giovanni came in, and we moved him on for a bit money. So we brought him in because again, it was rumoured at that time we did spend, but it turned out it was a free transfer based on add-ons if he reached a certain amount of games. He never reached any of that, so we brought him in for free, and then we punted him for rumoured to be in between 800,000 and £1 million. If that's not a football manager move, I don't know what frickin' is, ladies and gentlemen. But that is the tail of the tape for Mr. Bacuna. He came, he saw it, he didn't conquer, and he left to Birmingham City. And aye, if you're looking at ratings from 0 to 10, I'll be interested to see where you sit in this. But you know, son, I'm actually going to get, because naturally you'd think, oh, it's a 0, because he only was here for a couple of months, only played a couple of times, and he got punted out the door. But I think the financial terms, I'll give it a 3 for that. If you're talking about player impact or anything like that, again, he wasn't given an opportunity, but I'll give it a 3 out of 10 because we made some money on the actual signing, and that's the only thing you can really talk about, despite him looking promising and attacking when he was given a chance. Now the next free transfer is technically a pre-contract signing that we done in January, but just like John Souttar is technically a signing this season, and Rangers are really running that well dry of the first signing of the season, John Souttar. How about a second one, please, Rangers? But in that same kind of vein, let's pull it back to last season when Nnamdi Ofoborh was of course signed in January and brought in to the old football club, and unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it has to be said, it's not quite happened for Nnamdi Ofoborh. But we've obviously talked about no making an impact or doing this or that for this player and this player. I'm not going to sit here and rip this laddie apart and rip this transfer apart, giving it a 0 or anything like that. No, because he hasn't missed games and he hasn't not played for Rangers because of attitude or poor training or a poor work rate or anything like that. The reason we've not seen this laddie pull on a Rangers shirt is because of a medical condition with his heart. So I'm not going to sit here and slaughter the laddie, and again, all I'm going to say is I hope the laddie gets back to doing what he has worked his entire life for, and that's being able to be a professional football player. I know he's working with the club, fingers crossed they come to a solution and he's able to get back and do what he does best, and hopefully by the end in next season I'm sitting here celebrating what a powerhouse powerhouse Nnamdi Ofoborh is in the middle of the park, because he's still a young lad, he's still got a lot of football and still in the legs, and hopefully we see it in a Rangers shirt. But where I refuse to rate Nnamdi Ofoborh, I cannot wait to rate the next guys. We move on to the last and certainly not least free transfer that we made during the 2021/2022 season. It is none other than Big Scouse John himself, John frickin' Lundstram. And again, I'm getting a massive smile on my face here because I took an absolute pounding with this signing trips. Honestly, you should have seen what online was like for my notifications every single time I said in a video or I said online that John Lundstram needs to play. We need to play more John Lundstram. He's going to be a big player for us. That clip of me saying he could potentially be a player of the year was roasted online with so many quote tweets and everyone piling in saying this guy's clueless, this guy's a dick, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And now, ladies and gentlemen, every single one of those people that was laughing and mocking and going after me for saying John Lundstram was a player now sits there with a John Lundstram profile picture. And if that's not a summary of what that man's impact in the football club actually was, I don't know what else to say, ladies and gentlemen. He turned every single doubter and mocking and meme about him on its head. Now we sing his name, and he's genuinely one of the first names on the frickin' team sheet, because the impact when he's in the team to when he isn't is night and day. And John Lundstram is obviously here to stay. Now we all know John Lundstram's story so far. In the start of the season, for me, he was man of the match in 5 consecutive games. Then he was dropped unfairly by a manager who wanted out the door because someone from Ross County scored from 35 yards out, and that apparently was John Lundstram's fault. But he had to wait his time and take a slaughtering and take a pounding. So did I, John. Don't worry about it, mate. We both were there together. But when Gio eventually gave him an opportunity, he never once looked back. He was well and truly flung into the deep end like we all learned to swim for our feathers, just flung in there. And he just swam, ladies and gentlemen, and he's genuinely never looked back. He's been sensational. He's been a powerhouse. He's been a driving force for the team, and he's went on to make 48 appearances for Rangers in his debut season, scoring 4 goals, one of them being the goal to take us to a Europa League final, and also chipped in with 1 assist as well. But again, the stats didn't really reflect what that man was able to do for us, because the amount he runs, the challenging, the bullying in the middle of the park, driving us forward, getting us out of sticky areas, didn't come up in stats and statistics or anything like that. But if you watch Rangers play this season, you'll know why we all sing John Lundstram's name. He's a phenomenal player. I can't wait to see him next season. And for me, this one is what Celtic couldn't get. It's a 10, ladies and gentlemen. 10, 10, all frickin' day. He's got a great song, great player, and I love the signing. Now, as I catch my breath and move on from the free transfers, it's time to get to the free players we brought on in loan, and this obviously wraps up our entire transfers of last season during both windows. And I think I'll start off with a positive one then, shall we? Which again, for me, is more positive than negative, but none of the loans were a massive success, spoiler alert, for the rest of the video. But I'm going to start with Amad Diallo himself, someone who came with so much hype, including from myself, where I was expecting to blow up, and unfortunately never came close to anywhere near that hype level, but maybe never was, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? Maybe this is one of the ends we got blinded by the lights. It was a young lad who coming to the football club, having no played a lot of times, getting put in to this atmosphere, and he started his Rangers career off superbly versus Ross County with a goal and everything like that, and looking very, very good. But maybe when you go back and you look at his first game for Rangers, where he did look promising and he done all the right things and he did score and everything like that for us, but it didn't matter in the end of the day because Alan McGregor threw in 2 goals for Ross County and ended up costing us the 3 points. That little summary right there probably tells you everything. That it just wasn't quite going to mesh for Diallo, because despite everything he tried today, it never really worked out as an overall team. And then we know what happened next, the Celtic game, and he was flung away and mistreated, in my opinion, or misused, I should say, no mistreated, misused from that occasion. It was almost like we tried to blame him for getting pumped at Celtic, but it's because we set up to be pumped, in my opinion. And then the Dundee United miss where he shot and hit the outside of the post, and it came out instead of passing it to Sakala, and everyone went mental and said he's cost us a league title, blah blah blah. But that is absolute nonsense. A 19-year-old didn't cost us a league title, people. The experienced boys that we've relied on for years and years, turning into Casper the Ghost in the biggest moments in the biggest games, was the reason we lost the league title. No, a 19-year-old. So I didn't stand on that front. For me, I saw some positive things, but again, I think we saw Diallo grow up as a football player, and it's someone I expect to see back coming in the next couple of weeks at Rangers, if I'm honest with you, because of how he evolved throughout the loan and everything like that. Because again, some people take a while to adjust to this league and adjust to this team, and if you look at Diallo the last 3-4 weeks compared to his first 3-4 weeks, it's night and day. He relishes the physical contact, he gets back, puts in slide challenges, he gets back up once he's tackled, he's no diving out of 50-50s, he's actually winning them and everything like that. He's a young laddie who bought in and eventually matured and everything like that. And again, he's a young lad I hope to see next season. But in total for his loan, he played 13 times in all competitions, grabbing just 3 goals. But again, a lot of them was eventual substitute appearances and that as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing him next season if he does rejoin the football club. But if you're talking about what do you rate him from 0 to 10, I think you give him, a 5 out of 10, middle of the road signing. Again, he done some good things, but he was involved in some bad moments and that as well. So I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. But again, there's definitely room for improvement, because if he played the entire 6 months like he'd done the last 3-4 weeks after he adjusted, I imagine that number would have been a hell of a lot higher. Speaking of middle of the road people, I don't think there'll ever be a more defined middle of the road loan signing than when we brought in James Sands, who again raised everyone's eyebrow like it's the late 90s and the Rock's music just hit. We were all wondering, we were all questioning it and everything like that. But to be fair to the laddie, and I don't know how to say this without being disrespectful, but he didn't really do anything in a way, you know what I mean? He didn't impact games where you went, oh my god, what a player he is. But also on the flip side, he didn't then be a fault to a mistake or look like a weak link. He was just middle of the road. And again, he's just a young laddie and that as well, who's obviously still on loan to the football club. He will only go back until January, so he's still got plenty of time to improve on that. But he's not made an impression either way for me. He's been solid and reliable when needed, but again, he's never been able to put his imprint on the team and say, right, that's my spot now. It's been play centre mid this week, play right back this week, drop into a back three this week, and that's what he's been. He's not been able to wrestle a starting spot. And again, there's still time for his loan, but I'm just going to give him a 5 right now, despite him playing a total of 14 games. But again, he's only played 725 minutes during that time. It tells you everything you need to know. Come in, close games out and everything like that. Come in, plug a gap here. And obviously we know there's an option to buy at the end of his loan contract coming in January, but I think he's got to do a hell of a lot to justify being able to be signed by this football club. But again, he's still got 6 months. Hopefully he'll be able to take his confidence and everything after having played for that period of time, take it in to next season and move on from there. So we'll see what James Sands can do next season, but for me so far, very middle of the road, and I'm giving him a 5. And we know what's coming next then, ladies and gentlemen. It is of course the last and biggest signing that we made overall in the 2021-2022 campaign, and it was none other than Aaron frickin' Ramsey, who again, still in my mind, it's a no-brainer of a signing. I don't think there's a man on this planet that would have been offered a chance to bring in Aaron Ramsey with his wages being paid 85%, basically for no much moolah, and given an opportunity to take what was, at the time, a team at the top of the table and in loads of other competitions to the next level. I think everyone would have took that, as I'm kind of hurt myself on my chair right there, but unfortunately it never reached the heights, and that's a shame, people. It was certainly a gamble worth taking, but it was a gamble that didn't pay off, as he played just 13 times in all competitions, grabbing 3 goals and 3 assists, which again, when you look at it on paper, is not bad. 16 goal contributions for 13 games, but I think where this one's different from some of the other ones, the expectation was there, you know what I mean? You've got... And again, when you bring in the likes of James Sands and then you could bring in the likes of Aaron Ramsey, you're expecting a hell of a lot more for the likes of Ramsey. And despite, again, for me, looking promising during periods of games and having moments in a Rangers shirt, and his link-up play with Tavernier was absolutely gorgeous, it didn't do enough, in my opinion. And again, we're going to have to mention the penalty miss in the Europa League, and I know some people abuse him and they chase him and they comment on every post and they go after this laddie and everything like that, but that for me can get to you-know-whatski, people, because that's no what I'm about at all. When I look and I think of Aaron Ramsey, do I think and I blame him for losing us the Europa League? No, he had the balls to step up and take a penalty in the highest pressured game when some of our favourites weren't stepping up and taking it. It's been here years and years. No, Aaron Ramsey was willing to step up and take that pressure and go up and hit a penalty. A same penalty, by the way, that went spot for spot, speed for speed, height for height. as our captain's penalty who took the first one, but the difference being is that fine margin of inches where the goalie's foot was able to get to. It's the exact same penalty as Tavernier hit, but again, that's what can happen in football. So for me, Aaron Ramsey didn't lose us the Europa League, us no turning up. And I suppose that's easier from a fan's point of view to try and make someone the villain, and you're the reason we lost, you're the reason when in total, and if we're being fair, the entire team didn't play to a tenth of what we were capable of doing or what we've shown, whether it's the likes of Red Bull or Dortmund or anything. If we played like that in the final, we'd have won it, people, but we never. So Aaron Ramsey gets blamed for the penalty miss, but again, he had the balls to take it, and fair play to him on that. But that's no where the end all be all comes for me. It's definitely going to be a part of it, and he'll always be remembered for missing that penalty. But I'm just more disappointed overall in his impact, because I really thought when he came here he was going to light the league and really take us to the next level, but he never once really grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, in my opinion, and that's the real disappointment for me. So that is my thoughts on Aaron Ramsey as he left the football club again, having only played 13 games, struggled with injury, struggled with fitness. It's the kind of story with Ramsey, and he leaves, in my opinion, out of 10, I've got to give him, what, a 3? That is how I see the Rangers transfer business in terms of ins. If you look at it last season, I know it's been probably said millions and millions of times, but that was a really, really poor, considering we just won the league, we're pushing for the Champions League and everything like that. The transfer outlay in the first couple of months was bad in itself, but then January, where you've got to really back Gio and everything like that, it certainly wasn't anywhere near good enough. Fingers crossed Gio gets properly back with his first real transfer window this summer, but that was last year's, people. What did you think of it and everything like that? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Surely, and I mean surely, this summer's needs to be better than that. And with that being said, that's reached the end of the old video. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. To let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below. And again, until next time, take care of yourselves, all the best, and bye bye.